things baby boomers like myself have to pay for, because there is no question that a generation of baby boomers brought in incredible degree of freedom that was not there before. Whether it's a freedom to divorce, the freedom to marry anybody I like, the freedom to change job, the freedom to move countries. I moved many countries in my life. So they brought a lot of freedom. But the consequence of that, it was a freedom of opportunity, not a freedom of outcomes. And so the result was a desire for success, desire for growth, irrespective of consequences, desire for wealth, irrespective of consequences. That had many implications, whether it's environmental degradation, whether it's financialization, whether it's the low neutral rates today. All of that is negative. And the new generation coming up, anybody born, call it 1980, 85 onwards, the new generation have different views. So one of the interesting things is to look at freshman surveys in the US. One of the good things about it, it was exactly the same questions asked all the way to 1965. Exactly. And they ask it from the same people who just entering college. So the same age, you can't say if they would have aged, they would have changed their view. It was exactly the same people. And the interesting thing to see how in 1960s and even into 1970s, desire to help society, desire to join Peace Corps. 20% of graduates wanted to join Peace Corps back then. Rather than making money, was a primary motivating force. If you think from 80s onwards, one of the things started to happen, enrollment in the business schools and finance schools has gone through the roof. Enrollments in arts, or anything to do with arts, went down. The primary motivation became money and being successful rather than anything else. The interesting thing, since millennials started to go into college, call it early 2000s, it's interesting to see how that survey started to shift. Now, the younger people still want money. Don't get me wrong. They understand that money is important. But it's money to achieve certain things. And what they want to achieve is greater society good or environmental, or tackling environmental degradation or something else. If there were Peace Corps really of any substance, they probably would have joined Peace Corps as well. And so you can see how they're returning back to what people felt back in the 50s and 60s. And so the result is that they will turbocharge political change, which in turn will enable a lot of economic changes to occur, from UBI to everything else that comes through. You can even calculate for most countries when this sort of rollover is going to happen, because it's when are they going to become plurality? In the US, it's a bit hard because, unlike Australia, for example, US does not have compulsory voting. So there is a discrepancy quite often between demographics and voting public. But even there, you would argue that today they're 25% of votes, but they're already around 40% or so of the demographics. Give it another 10 years, they're bound to be in a majority. And when they are in the majority, as I said, politics will change. So if you think of this transition, do you have disruption coming up? Yes. Is that disruption going to get stronger? Absolutely. Can we unhook ourselves from financialization? No way. Do we need to change policies? Yes, we do. How quickly can we change policies? Only as quickly as society is willing to tolerate. Because if you think about it, center is still holding. So you have extreme left, but center is still holding. And center doesn't agree with all the things, or most of the things we've just discussed. So what you need to do is to see the center weakening and extreme getting stronger. Now, that's a recipe for more dislocation, for more volatility. But at the same time, what it will do, it will usher different policies. So this 10-year period, I guess, will be the period of the greatest volatility. The other thing I just very quickly will highlight, not only the structure of labor market is changing, the role of capital is changing too. And that's why I basically argued in the book, if role of capital and function of capital and the function of labor is changing, it is no longer capitalism. At least not as capitalism as we traditionally think of capitalism. So it's not just labor. Capital itself is changing too.